So one of the quotations that I heard when I was maybe like 21, 22, it was something to do with if you had $86,400 in your bank account, and at the end of that day, the dollars disappeared and you couldn't get the dollars back, you would try and spend those dollars like the most wise way that you could every single day so you could get the most out of that 86,000. I don't know if that's the right number, but essentially what they said is that's the exact same thing as with time. And so like a lot of the time, back when I was young, like I had spent so much time like playing video games, going out with my buddies, watching television. Of course I have friendships and whatnot, but I'm not necessarily like, there's nothing tangible to the time that I spend. And so now when I flip that thing, it's almost like a motivation for me that I want to spend 86,400 seconds a day, if it's, I don't know what the actual number is, but that many seconds a day doing something so that by the end of the day, I can show that I spent 40,000 seconds doing this and I built this thing and it's there and it's standing and it's looking at me. And then I can go give it to somebody or try and sell it or do something with it. It's more than time at that point. And so when I was younger, like my dad always had like things on the go. He always had like a project going on. And every single time like I had an issue, say it was like a school project or even something that I needed fixed, something broke, he knew how to troubleshoot it. He knew how to make it infinitely better. He had every tool that was known to man. I grew up with that constantly, like he was always in the garage doing something. He always wanted me to come out there and watch him. And so not only was he wasn't woodworking all the time. Like we had ATVs and we had snowmobiles and he was working on the car and he was fixing little dirt bikes and fixing lawnmowers and stuff. And so I would just be kind of around. And like essentially all I did was hold the flashlight for my dad, like for a long time. Like I would just hold it there. And then from that point, like I just kind of picked it up. The current cube outside right now is like, I ran across Leanne Dubray. Basically she does like pottery and cups, bowls, that type of thing. One day we got gifted mugs from Jess, which is like my girlfriend Lexi's sister-in-law. She gifted us some mugs and they were Leanne's mugs. And essentially like we got hooked on these mugs because they looked beautiful. Pottery in general has always been pretty fascinating to me, but I never got into it myself. So every time that I saw something that was like hand thrown, I love that portion of it where it's handmade. And so Leanne, she's from Calgary as well. And basically I reached out to her and I had asked her like, hey, I have this idea, which has been sort of festering in my mind, like it was a vision for me for a long while, is that I wanted to get sort of collaboration with a ceramic artist in Calgary. And so I reached out to her and asked if she would be interested in providing these 5 tiles in the same style as what her mugs are for this cube. And then essentially we would try and get like an auction going, some sort of noise around it so that we could donate all this money to charity, like whatever comes out of it to charity, the charity of the choice of buyer. And so I had reached out to her and kind of pitched this and see if she was interested. And she said yes, which was amazing. I was super excited about that. And then after a while, we got these tiles and they were gorgeous, like unreal. Exactly the same, like you could tell that they were hand thrown. They had the same texture. The glaze on it was unreal. And so now with this cube that we're doing right now, the idea is that we're gonna have one on each face of the cube. And it's almost like a specialty cube to me. Like it's more of a, like I spent my time doing the cube, but then like there's a collaboration portion to it. It's a unique cube. There's not gonna be another one like it because those tiles aren't gonna be made again. Like I'm getting manufactured tiles, but then mixing in these handmade ones locally from somebody in Calgary.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I finish something, like it's like relief almost, which is kind of odd to say because it's like, you think like happiness would be like the word that somebody would want to go with. Like, oh, I feel really happy that I finished something and it's gratifying. But like, I almost feel relief because it's almost like you're almost like putting yourself into like a stressful scenario where like you're trying to get something done on a time limit. You want to make it look nice, and especially with like these tiles, is that there is room for error. And so like once the error has been eliminated and you know that it's finished, like it's almost like a relief. And then you're like super stoked on how it looks. My name is Tyler Stair. I'm from Calgary, Alberta, and I go by Tyler's on Instagram.